I think it's a fascinating example of how 5G and next-gen connectivity is enabling innovations and some really interesting IoT application in there as well. And whether it's farming or manufacturing, healthcare or retail, I think this technology is also about bridging the gap between the physical and the digital world. And joining me in the physical world, in the actual studio today to talk more about how 5G and next-gen tech is helping to bridge those gaps is Nokia CEO for UK and Ireland, Phil Siveter. Hello, Phil. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, David. Lovely to be here.
Nice to get out of the home office for a while.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
So I learned a new word last week, and it's about this blending of physical and digital. Phygital. Now, that word does make me fidget in my seat a little bit, but I think it's still kind of useful. So I want to kick off by saying, how do you see 5G? What is 5G's role in bridging that physical and that digital divide?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think there's no question that we've all seen over the last decade or so, industries like banking and finance and entertainment and retail transforming their businesses and moving online, moving to digital, moving to the cloud. And we've moved to online banking, online streaming, etc. What we've not necessarily seen, I think, is in physical industries like manufacturing, like mining, like transportation, the same levels of digitalization and transformation. It's pretty hard to move a train to the cloud. And these industries, this transformation of these industries is what's going to be very exciting, I think, over the next few years. We've done some work with Nokia Bell Labs that estimates across the world could be as much as $8 trillion of GDP impact generated through digitization of these industries. And this is where 5G comes in, because 5G allows you to build these mission-critical networks for these mission-critical industries.
Big numbers there about the opportunity, isn't there? And it's difficult to take a train into the cloud, but we've been speaking a lot about digital transformation for what seems like a little while now, and that's a journey that many organisations are on at the moment. But it's layering the digital with the physical, and that's the opportunity here. So it becomes a phygital transformation, if I can use that word again. That's the big picture stuff. What about specific applications? Where are you seeing, great use cases, great applications of this right now?
Yeah, and look, I think importantly, just picking on that point, it's that automation and control that 5G gives. So that's what makes it so important. For Nokia, one that's very close to our own heart is our own manufacturing plant in Oulu. This is one of our most important plants globally. We use this to innovate, we use this to drive new product lines. And actually, we've flooded this with 5G, we've overlaid with IoT, with digital twin, with edge compute technology, and we use this to transform our manufacturing process. And we've delivered efficiencies in the range of 30 to 40% on kind of manufacturing feed, on machine efficiency. But perhaps most interestingly, the maintenance impact has been enormous. Here we've seen an 98% improvement in the maintenance piece, because it's targeted. Using sensors and data, we can send engineers out exactly when required in almost like a predictive way to try and improve productivity. And it's had a dramatic effect on the performance of the site.
It's a great showcase, this whole eating your own dog food example there. But what about for maybe people watching who don't run a manufacturing plant and maybe work in other industries and other verticals? Whereabouts are you seeing applications of 5G tech making a difference right now?
There are plenty, of course. Retail, I think, is an interesting one. Yeah. I think that kind of convergence of the online shopping experience with the physical shopping experience, probably now more than ever as we come out of COVID, we're going to see convergence of that. We've started to see it like with Amazon, for example, running their own online store where you can walk around the store, pick up the produce and leave knowing hopefully that you're going to be charged on your online account.
I've done that. You almost feel a little bit guilty putting things into your bag and then just walking out without paying for it. But, it's really interesting what it does from a customer experience point of view, isn't it?
And that customer experience is critical. And companies are going to use 5G to differentiate here, to provide new levels of enhanced customer services. And of course, in that example, we'll scale that up across a whole supermarket or a whole retail environment to, again, offer that enhanced customer experience.
Yeah, and we've said it before, customer experience is very much that battleground at the moment when it is a competitive market and lots of companies are trying to offer similar but slightly differentiated things. It's how you as a customer wants to interact with that firm that's going to make your purchasing decisions for you. Other areas, I want to talk to you about what is next. Smartphones, 5G enabled these days. Smartphones have been around for 15 years, let's say, maybe longer if you're a historian, whatever. But what do you see as being the kind of next generation, the next device, perhaps, that might use 5G as part of how it works, that could also transform our lives, maybe as consumers, but maybe have, strong industry applications too?
Yeah, I think what's interesting is we're still in the early days of 5G for sure. I think when 4G came, there was still uncertainty exactly what the use cases would be. Yeah. But we've seen with the evolution of kind of Google and the use of YouTube, etc., how 5G has been integral to that change. We're going to see the same thing in 5G. The use cases are going to be kind of innovative and developed over the coming years. One exciting one for sure, I think, is in AR. There's no question things like HoloLens, exactly, and Google Glass. We're going to see them scale up and be much more ubiquitous in terms of their use in things like engineering and design. And we can imagine a world where engineers are going to site knowing exactly where to repair a machine or target a particular change using the Google Glass to make that change in a safe and secure way.
Of course, we went fairly deep on that in The Future Is Now Live in our last episode where, we spoke with Condensed Reality, the volumetric video stuff they're doing, Wilmot Dixon, the construction firm, about how they're using Microsoft HoloLens, for example, on site as well. Finally, for now, we're speaking about digital transformation, phygital transformation, whatever. Many organizations are on that journey. Some of them, because of what's been happening over the last 12, 18 months or so, maybe a little bit hesitant, not knowing quite what the future has in store for them. It's difficult to know where to take that journey. So what would you say to those companies that maybe are hesitant about making their digital transformation steps right now?
So let me be clear, 5G is here now, and be under no uncertain terms that there are companies out there right now, perhaps even your competitors, that are taking advantage and looking into how 5G is going to change their industry, their particular business. There are proof of concepts pilots happening, even live deployments in all markets right now. So I would absolutely urge you to reach out to the experts, BT, Nokia, as partnership, to think about how can I use 5G in what particular use case, what business case is going to transform my industry, and start that now.
Phil, excellent stuff. And if you also would like to reach out to the experts, then Phil will be joining our live Q&A panel in just a few moments' time. It's not too late to put your questions into the box.